didn't have the energy to do anything else. We were literally running orders out and taking phone calls on 2 different phone lines from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
But I like to see that you guys are local and you're taking care of your people, because a lot of people are just going for quick money these days, and that's no good. We don't like them.
Luckily, we're still standing.
Hi guys, welcome to Meet the Owners. Today we have Quincy and Liz Zikmund on the show, and we're going to be learning a little bit more about their business, who they are, what they do, and why they do it. So let's get into it. Tell us what you do. We're here at Give a Dog a Bone. I didn't say that. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Hey, yeah, so we're Give a Dog a Bone. We are an independent natural pet food store in Evansville. Basically, we focus on dogs and cats. And our big emphasis is really just nutrition. So feeding well, feeding healthy, species-appropriate diets to dogs and cats. Of course, we carry a lot of other things like eco-friendly accessories and toys and all that stuff. But really, nutrition is our mission.
Awesome. Well, that's very awesome. So, did you just wake up one day and you're like, this is what I want to do? Or you have I want to provide nutritional food for animals my whole life? Like, break that down for us.
So really it started going way back to shortly after we got married, which was over 15 years ago now. We got our first dog together, Murphy, a little black pug, and we were really learning everything. Liz grew up with animals, dogs, and cats, and all kinds of stuff, and I didn't. I grew up with fish at a very young age, and that was about it. So we kind of, over Murphy's first year of life, we progressively started trying to, learn about food, basically, learn about nutrition. We had gotten into eating better and just living a healthier lifestyle ourselves. And it was kind of like, well, surely this goes for our dog as well. We actually discovered Give a Dog a Bone around that time. So Give a Dog a Bone has been in business for almost 20 years now. It'll be 20 years in February of 25. We've owned it for 9 years now. And basically what ended up happening is we discovered Give a Dog a Bone. We loved it. It was a local, independent, single location store. We loved the mission, so we started shopping here. We started becoming regulars. And shortly after that, at the time I was doing web design and digital marketing. And so shortly after we started shopping there, I started doing web design work and social media work for Give a Dog a Bone. They became a client of mine.
Now, did they have any website design before that?
Very basic.
Very
basic, yeah. Yeah, super basic. And so I thought that I could, kind of amplify that a little bit. Yeah. So we started doing that, built a relationship with the owner. Shortly after that, Liz started working here and managing the store. The owner had texted me one night and she was like, hey, does Liz have, she doesn't have a job right now, does she? I was like, no. She's like, well, does she want one? I was like, well, ask her. So she did. And she's like, yeah, that's great. So she started working here part-time, and kind of shortly after that turned into full-time. She started managing the store and taking on a lot more responsibility after about a year or so. And then we had always talked about how much we loved the store and how cool it would be, if the owner at the time, Robin, we were like, if she ever decided that she was ready to move on, ready to do something else, like we would totally take it over. And we just kind of talked about that amongst ourselves and never really told anybody about that. It was kind of jokingly, but we were serious about it. We just didn't think it would happen. Kind of just like dreaming, you know what I mean? And one day, Liz came home from work, and she's like, yeah, so, she called me into her office and said that she's going to be moving away permanently. She'd been traveling back and forth a lot, and asked if we'd want to buy it. So I told her yes, and so, do you want to buy it? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess we'll figure out what that looks like.
That's awesome. It really just kind of fell in your guys' lap almost.
Yeah, I mean, it really worked out. Again, like we were just we were passionate about the mission. We were passionate about the store, the community around the store, and we had gotten so ingrained into the business and different aspects already that it just made sense.
Well, that's really cool. So you guys find the place, you're eating healthy, you find the business, you start working here, you start managing, then you start doing website stuff, then you buy it. Mm-hmm. So you got to work up into the world. So you guys, by the time you got here, did you feel comfortable and like able to just like get in the flow of it?
Like by the time we took over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we took over ownership, it was kind of smooth sailing. I started working here in 2012, and we purchased it. We closed on the sale in 2015.
Okay.
So it was really quick from being part-time to full-time to managing everything to doing the ordering to doing the inventory. So it was kind of like a throw me the deep end, kind of figure it out situation, but it worked out really well. And from the moment that we took the keys as ownership, it was just up from there. So it's never felt like we couldn't do it.
Well, that's awesome. So how did like your customers respond to that? They're like, oh, new owners? Or did they trusted you guys a lot by then? So it's just smooth sailing?
I mean, they didn't really know me because
Okay.
I wasn't an employee in the store. I mean, Give a Dog a Bone was one of many clients of mine. Liz, of course, they knew and had gotten to know really well. So, I mean, really everybody, from my memory of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, my memory was that our customers were all, obviously they were sad to see the previous owner go because she was the one who started the store. But at the same time, they were super excited for us. And they were super excited to see us more. And of course, we continued the store's mission and just kind of continued refining it, I guess, and kind of expanding that mission. So our focus has always been the same, and we just have kind of really,
You've just been narrowing it down ever so slightly as you go?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Really fine-tuning, like, what matters.
Because, again, we're so nutrition focused, and nutrition science is always developing. I mean, there's always new research coming out about cat and dog health and cat and dog nutrition and ideal diets for certain situations. And then, of course, even just all the non-edible stuff that we sell, like making sure that the toys and whatnot that we have are going to be safe and hopefully not get torn up super quick, not get torn up in 5 seconds. But
Are there any like warranties? It's like, oh, your animal destroyed the toy in under 2 minutes, so you get a refund, or like?
There's some companies. So there's disclaimer: there's no such thing as an indestructible dog toy. If someone ever tells you a dog toy is indestructible, they're lying. Don't buy it.
Don't buy it.
But there are toys that are more durable. Toys that are made with like a really dense rubber and things like that. And so there are some toys where companies will offer actually warranties and guarantees on.
Really?
And so they'll give the customer, a refund or a replacement or whatever, like a one-time replacement, refund, whatever. But one thing that we do as a store, we try to take we try to treat every customer interaction in question like a real consultation. So if somebody comes in and like, my dog's super, or they just come in, they're like, hey, I want a toy. I'm looking for a new toy for my dog. We ask what kind of dog they have, how big they are, how destructive they are, whether they want a plush toy or something more durable like a rubber toy, or if they're wanting it to chew on or to actually play with, because that's going to be different. So we can basically narrow down what they need and take them to a toy to say, this is the toy that I would suggest trying out, instead of just saying, yeah, here's our toy section. You know what I mean? We want to really help people find the right thing, because we don't want people to waste their money on something that's going to, their dog's not going to like, or the dog's just going to tear up in 5 minutes. Now, it's not to say that a dog won't tear something up in 5 minutes. They may. But we try to really help people find what is actually going to work best for them.
Well, I think that really sets you guys apart, though, in the grand scheme of things. 'Cause, like, you have Amazon. You're like, what do I think? You order it. You think it's high quality. It's like all cheap and awful. You get to come into the store. You get to feel it. And also someone's talking you through, like, this is what this is what this is. And you don't even have that at Walmart. Now, they're a big company, and I think you lose that as the bigger you get with companies a lot of the time. But I like to see that you guys are local and you're taking care of your people. Because a lot of people are just going for quick money these days. And that's no good. We don't like that. We like making money. We like capitalism, but we don't like screwing people over. You know, like that's not good.
No.
So, but yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot. So tell us, what was the original owner, the founder's name?
Her name was Robin.
Robin.
Yeah.
So Robin, tell us about Robin. Why did she start Give a Dog a Bone? Because we saw your guys'. Is it the same thing, or she's got her own unique origin story? What's that look like?
It was different than our story. I'll let you tell that.
So Robin founded Give a Dog a Bone in 2005 after a couple years prior, 2005, her boxer Quigley developed cancer, and the veterinarian at the time was like, this is the end, nothing we can do. She wouldn't take that.
How old was he at the time?
At the time, I think he was 6. He was fairly young. And it was a, terrible prognosis. But she was like, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to do what I can. So
I think she was given like 6 months, right?
Yes, like 6 months. A very, very hard cancer to go through. She didn't want to take that, so she dove into health and nutrition, started seeing what she could do to support Quigley, changing his diet, all the research that she did. She ended up getting many years with him past the 6-month diagnosis, with the knowledge that she learned, started the store. So that's how Give a Dog a Bone came to be, was the quest to save Quigley. So when we found Give a Dog a Bone, when we got Murphy in 2009, when she was a puppy, we found Give a Dog a Bone like when she was like a year old, I guess, maybe.
Maybe not quite a year old.
Maybe like a little before a year
Yeah,
old.
yeah.
Really loved that story because Murphy was our first, his first dog ever. He never had dogs prior to Murphy, and we wanted to give her the best possible life. So that really spoke to us. And then through that, being a part of the store, working here, then becoming owners, we've experienced our own animals having health issues that we've had to support with their diet, and we've seen wonderful longevity despite what doctors would have thought. So it was really, we think diet really plays a huge role in longevity. So that's really why we do it.
Yeah, and not just like longevity, but also, so a lot of people talk about a lifespan, like increasing a dog's lifespan, trying to get 2 more years, 3 more years, 4 more years of life. But what's equally important is health span, which is health span is basically a longer period of time of being healthy. So it's not just that you've got 4 more years, but those 4 more years are just terrible quality of life. It's you've got 4 more years, and you've got 3.5 years where you're still going for walks every day, they're still wanting to play, they still have like their personality, they're still excited about their food and treats and all that stuff. And so that's where, like feeding well as early as you can, as early as you learn about, this stuff, is really important. And obviously that's no replacement for veterinary care. It's no replacement for regular veterinary visits and, using medication when necessary, conventional medication and treatment when necessary, because all that stuff is obviously very important. But all that along with diet, I think can go a long way.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So literally dog 6 months.
Yeah.
And that,
Years.
years. So is that so are there any doctors were they shocked? They're like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
So do they was Give a Dog a Bone endorsed by any doctors in the local area? They're like,
No,
they sell the best product. That's the best deal you could work up.
Well, I mean, we do have good relationships with a lot of veterinarians in town. And, you know, we've had veterinarians send customers here to, they might tell them to come here to get a specific thing. They might come here to just, you know, say, hey, like, go learn about the fresh food that Give a Dog a Bone sells, or something like that, because I think that would be a good idea. And they sell products that are, you know, complete and balanced and safe, because there's a wrong way to do certain things. And the products that we have, you know, do it well and do it right. So, you know, but I mean, we're talking like 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the natural, quote unquote, natural pet food world and all that, it was still really, it was really fringe, like to the point that a lot of the brands that were sold here, even some that we still sell to this day, had no distribution in Southern Indiana.
Wow.
And so Robin, there were, for some brands, she would have to weekly drive up to Indy, or Northern Indiana area, because, you know, she was able to, I can't remember, did she just go pick it up directly from a distributor, or was it delivered to another store that she was friends with?
You said she's driving once a week all the way to Indy?
Yeah, the Northern Indiana area is, you know,
Like early,
central to Northern Indiana, like first year. And then of course there's a lot of brands that are sold in this area because Give a Dog a Bone brought them, you know, to the area, and that's the only reason that maybe some other stores learned about them or people learned about them, was because of all those early days. And there wasn't a lot. I mean, in those days, there was a like, since then, the pet food as a whole has improved. Like, even brands that we don't sell and don't like, they are better today than they were 20 years ago.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, just because consumers, you know, again, it's the research. There's more research that's been done, and also consumers have clearly, you know, voted with their dollars that they want better. So yeah, I mean, it was really different back then. It was definitely more surprising and more drastic whenever dogs would have, you know, changes like that, because it was, this stuff was so uncommon 20 years ago.
Did people approach it suspiciously at first, you think, or were they like, we've been waiting for this forever, like, we're so glad it's here?
I wouldn't say people would have been suspicious about it. I think more so just didn't know. I mean, because you think a lot of people, they're like, you know, someone might be like, you know, I grew up in the 60s and we just fed our dogs whatever, you know. There was a time where it was, you know, canned food was more popular than dry food, and a lot of it was horse meat.
Really?
Which is not USDA approved anymore.
I was just thinking that, I'm like, you don't eat pork. There was something at the, no, you eat pork, you don't eat horse. I saw something at the store and I was like, that's odd, I haven't seen that here before. I don't remember what it was to save my life, but I was like, wouldn't that be wild? It's like, oh, you want some horse chops today? You're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
So it's not good for dogs either, right?
Well, it's not
just
that
for glue.
It's not that it's bad for them. It's just that horses are very majestic, intelligent creatures that really we shouldn't be consuming or feeding to dogs.
Where do they fall in the food chain of like the out in the wild?
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, but horses are strong. You know.
Strong.
I mean, so.
I like horses. Horses are nice.
But no, like, so I think that the big thing was, and we'll have customers that are, you know, just completely new to all this stuff. Or, you know, when we were kids, you know, back in the day, like, we just fed our dogs whatever, or we fed them. They ate what we ate. We just fed them table scraps. You know, we fed them the leftovers and, you know, whatever. And my dogs always lived to 15, 18 years old back then. And now dogs are not living as long. And, you know, I think now nutrition is even more important than it was 30 years ago for dogs, because it seems like they have a lot more genetic issues.
Interesting.
So I mean, all the dogs that we see that have just environmental allergies that come in, and that, because we live in such a toxic, awful area of the country.
We do.
And so we're all suffering from allergies and breathing issues and all that. And so, I mean, dogs and cats have a lot more I think, playing against them these days.
Okay.
And so that's where I think nutrition is even more important, you know, than even then.
So genetic issues, number one, right? Now, do you think it's true when people say, my dog used to live 15, 18 years old back in the day when I fed him table scraps? Do you think that's true and it has to do with, one, genetics, but also like what they're putting in our own food? Do you think?
I think it was probably, I mean, my suspicion is it was a few things. One, if dogs really truly were being fed a lot of just table scraps back then, we cooked a lot healthier. I mean, we were cooking whole foods 40 years ago, 50 years ago, a lot more whole foods, I should say, at least than we do now. There were convenience foods, of course, but it was not the norm, I don't think. You know, more people had their own gardens and all that. People, and in turn, dogs, were a lot more active. So just getting a lot more exercise. I mean, so many dogs are couch potatoes these days, just like us, you know. I mean, their activity is going to reflect our activity. If we're really active and we're taking them for walks every day, playing in the park or in the backyard, whatever. So, I mean, exercise and physical activity is also super important, and you can't buy that. We can't sell you physical activity for your dog. I mean, that's something you could do for free, regardless of how you feed them. But I think they were also at healthier weights. You know, research now has shown that dogs that are fed less and that are slim, not skinny, not overly skinny, not malnourished, but slim and fit, and that are generally fed less, because most dogs are overfed, live on average like 2 years longer. That's what which doesn't sound like a lot, but
2 years is 2 years.
For an animal that has maybe an average lifespan of 10 to 15 years, depending on the size of dog, you know, 2 years is a lot. I mean, you're talking about maybe 15, 20% longer life just by, regardless of what you feed them, feeding them less, feeding them the appropriate amount so that way they stay at a good weight. So there's also that. I think there's genetic issues. So yeah, I mean, I think it's threefold. The activity, the food quality, and of course, you know, genetic.
Cool. So we all know chocolate and dogs don't mix, right? Like that's a no. Is it true that eggs are good for dogs? Like it makes their hair like softer, or is that a myth?
No, eggs are great.
Really?
Eggs are great.
Okay.
What really? So, I mean, eggs have. Well, one, they have good fats, you know, and just feeding fat to a dog can help their coat a lot. So
really,
The right kind of fat.
the right kind of fat. And don't go feed your dog, add bacon grease to their food. But I'm just saying healthy whole food, you know, fats or fish oil, stuff like that. So I mean, that's going to help. There's, you know, I mean, eggs are just a great food in general. I mean, not even for skin and coat. I mean, there's good quality, highly digestible protein, lots of vitamins and minerals. Obviously, the fats that are in there are good fats. But yeah, I mean, eggs are great. We often recommend people add eggs to their dogs. Like if they feed a dry kibble, an egg is a great thing to add, you know, a few times a week. We recommend cooking them. I don't want to do a raw. Really a huge fan of raw eggs. Yeah, but the cool thing about eggs is if you boil an egg, like you boil it or even poach it or something like that, you're losing no nutrition compared to the raw.
Really?
And actually, you're actually increasing the nutrition. You're making it more bioavailable. So it is best to cook eggs. A lot of people do like to do raw eggs, especially people that feed like a raw diet. Like we feed a raw diet, but if we give eggs, we cook them.
Nice. So let's see here. I'm going to cheat. Okay, so biggest struggle. Let's dive into it. What's the biggest struggle that you guys have had as a business owners?
I'll let you go first.
We'll let her go. Okay.
Because I'm sure they've been different for both of us, even though we're in it together. But
Oh man, I really don't know.
because we have so many.
Because there's so many struggles. No, I mean,
So there's been different periods of
struggle, yeah.
One of the biggest periods of struggle I think was probably early on in the pandemic in like 2020. Obviously for
Everyone,
every small
yeah.
business, you know. Luckily, we're still standing. I mean, we're still here for almost 5 years later now. But some of our friends that had great, awesome businesses, they lost them. They lost the business completely, and it just could never recover, and they had to close permanently.
Yeah.
And so for us, that time was tough. You know, we were taking the COVID protocols like really seriously. And so I hate the term essential business. I don't like calling. I don't like calling people and businesses essential and non-essential. I think that I get kind of what they're saying. I think I get what they're saying, but that term is just
It's very rude.
It feels degrading because like we're all essential, but essential meaning things that people had to buy. You know what I mean?
You know what's essential? My paycheck, right? Like, now I'm dead. What?
Pet food stores were considered essential, so we never had to lock our doors, but we did lock our doors. We actually locked our doors for 8 months, and we did curbside orders only.
How did that affect your guys' sales? Did it stay the same, you think?
No. We lost about 35% of our business for a while.
How much did that hurt?
So in the moment, we were really committed to keeping ourselves and our staff safe and our customers safe. So we really didn't concern ourselves with it. We were because, you know, there were some customers that were like, I mean, I'm sure there were some people that were like, you know, I don't want to do curbside. I'm not messing with this stuff. Of course, everybody had a different level of risk tolerance during the pandemic, I think. And we just had a very low risk tolerance for that period. So we locked our doors and did curbside only for 8 months. Really, honestly, most of our customers were awesome and they were very understanding. You know, where we really felt that was people couldn't just shop the fun stuff. You know what I mean? So people were coming and ordering their food, but they couldn't come and shop around for accessories and toys. Now,
and that's your whole thing.
What we would do is we would literally take racks and carts of things out for people to look through. They're like, I'm wanting a harness. This is how big my dog is. I like these colors. We would literally take it all out there for them to look at it. We were taking about 80 plus phone calls a day for phone orders. We didn't have online store set up. So it was literally
Do you now have
all
an
over the
online
phone.
store?
We don't.
No.
We don't.
Wow.
I know. I'm a web designer. We don't have an online store.
Would it increase sales, or do you think people would get lazy and you'd lose the customer?
I don't
touch?
know. I just don't think that it would. Face-to-face really, I think, matters for our customers and like the experience that they have in here. That I honestly don't know if it would even help us, which is why I've never felt a rush to do it.
Because you'd have to ship, and that becomes its own other hassle as well, right?
It is, yeah, it is.
And
but yeah, during the
so pandemic.
Yeah, during
Pushing
the
carts out.
pandemic, we did all that stuff for 8 months. When we finally unlocked our doors for in-store shopping again, we were back to normal overnight.
Back to normal.
It
Overnight?
was like it never happened.
Because we really didn't lose a lot of customers. I mean, and so many of our customers were really appreciative because whether they had like family with, you know, immune compromised or, you know, whatever. So, but really, I mean, we unlocked our doors, the store filled back up, and honestly, things really did go back to normal after that, thankfully.
Now, were you guys doing more social media and advertising during that time, you think, or just social posts, like keeping everyone updated, like, hey, we miss you guys, you're maintaining the relationship the best you can?
It was pretty much that, because we didn't have the energy to do anything else. We were literally running orders out and taking phone calls on 2 different phone lines from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. At the time, and our staff was really low at the time because we had just happened to have had a couple people leave for different opportunities, like right before the pandemic.
So you kind of got lucky. You didn't have to lay anyone off.
Well, we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have. We would have gone without pay ourselves before we let any of our staff go.
Yeah.
But we had a very small staff at the time, smaller than we should have, and we were open 7 days a week at the time. In 2020 is when we decided to start closing on Sundays because we just couldn't. It was supposed to be temporary, but almost 5 years later, we're still closed on Sundays. We were working open to close 7 days a week, and it was going to be like that for the foreseeable future. And so we had to just take a day. But no, we didn't have energy to do anything. We worked all day. We went home. We sat down. We had dinner, and basically crashed.
Did that affect sales at all, cutting Sundays? Or was it like an initial sale drop and then?
No, because I think really most of our customers are regulars. They just came a different day, you know.
Oh, that's good.
But I think the pandemic was probably the hardest period for us. And then maybe just another, it's a business owner struggle. I think every business owner has it, you, I'm sure, understand it, is being able to turn it off. And like when you get home, we can't do that. We talk about work when we're having dinner.
That's all I do.
We talk about work all the time, and not just because there's things that have to be done that can't wait till tomorrow. Because we are in a good groove. We have a great team. So I mean, it's not like we're not necessarily at a computer working in the evening, but we love the business, and so we talk about it. And there's always things to talk about. And then of course, just finding time to get away and take a vacation is really hard. Even with an awesome staff, it's still really hard sometimes. And so, as the owners, and so I think that's probably that's kind of the recurring biggest struggle is getting time away as a business owner. And we could have a lot worse struggles. We have a lot of small business friends that have a lot worse struggles, but that's the thing that I think really stands out. I mean, sure, there are other small things here, all over the place, but
now you can't turn it off. It's every business person struggles with it. Are the fun things you do related to work and pets and stuff, or is there like something you're like, this is my fun thing, I do it, and no one would ever think that I do this?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Liz, do you have something?
I mean, we obviously just hang out with our dogs all day and do things with them all the time. But aside from that, I mean, yeah, we have different hobbies.
I mean, non-work related things. We read a lot. Primarily horror is our genre, which most people wouldn't expect to hear.
I didn't, no.
Yes, we mainly watch horror and we mainly read horror. I knit. I'm a plant lady. He skateboards. He plays bass.
Really. I don't really skate anymore, but yeah. But yeah,
you used to skate all the time, right?
Yeah. I play bass and guitar and stuff. I still play music. Obviously, we like to play video games sometimes.
So what's your favorite video game you're playing right now? Or are you playing? It's like I play video games every 6 months for 2 hours.
I mean, I don't play all the time, obviously, because she actually plays more than me. I mean, we're done with the games, but Zelda, we're hooked on Zelda.
Then what's the new one? Because there was Breath of the Wild.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Hooked on those. Right now I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's fun.
It's gotten a lot of hate. Do you think that's warranted, or are you just like, get over it?
I'm not in the video game culture online, so I don't really know. I like it. I think it's fun.
I think
but
they
released
it.
I'm not a harsh critic about. I'm honestly not a harsh critic about things like that.
Well, what it was early release, right? The game's not finished. They sold it for $90, and people couldn't play it. Like, it kept crashing. You're walking through buildings and getting stuck, and you die, and it didn't save. So no one liked it. They're like, this is the worst game in existence. And I'm like, that's fair. Don't release it. Finish your game.
Yeah.
I
think they've sorted out a lot of the kinks because I've only had it for like 2 weeks. But no, I mean, that stuff. We read a lot of horror. We watch a lot of horror movies. A lot of obscure things that people will probably think are weird and they've never heard of before. I read like a lot of personal development stuff too. Which I guess translates to business, but I mean I would be reading it anyway. So because it is good to better yourself.
It is. What's your favorite authors for business related stuff?
I'll drop a couple books.
Okay.
One is Essentialism by Greg McEwen.
Okay.
It's great for anybody, but it's great for if you own a business. if you work in a business, which most people that work in a business. But it's also great for just like life. But that's a great one. Two books. One of my favorite writers is Derek Sivers.
Okay.
So my two favorite of his are Anything You Want, and then Hell Yeah or No.
Okay.
And they're super, super short, but they're very, every word he writes is very thoughtful, so there's not too much fluff. One chapter might be half of a page, and that's the chapter. So it's very, and even though it's not, it's very philosophical, but it's also, there's also, I mean, he's sharing stories, he's sharing lessons from his entrepreneurial days, his days in the circus, or his days making music, and whatever. So
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little
That's
bit of
really
everything. So those three books I think are my favorite as far as like personal development, sort of business related.
Okay, so I can't go without asking this. Everyone's going to be asked this question. What is each one of yours personal favorite movie?
You first.
You need to take a minute? You can take a minute.
There's just so many.
There's so many.
many.
Well, you got.
So
What's the
many.
first one that came to mind? Or first three. You can go top three. You got to rattle them off, though.
Okay.
Okay, here you go.
Lord of the Rings.
Perfect.
Duh. Harry Potter. The entire series. I mean, Star Wars. All of it.
So you just named off 20 some odd movies. That's
The world.
the world. The world. Okay, Quincy, what about you?
Okay, so Lord of the Rings.
That's three. We can add The Hobbit. Do you like? I don't think The Hobbits live up to it.
No,
though.
I like them.
The book's great,
I don't
but-
love what they did with the movies, but they're fine. But really more the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Star Wars.
You liking all 9 of those? Yeah.
I
What
like-
3 do you like the most?
I like them all, and actually Rogue One is one of my favorites.
Rogue One is top tier.
Rogue One's incredible.
I put that in my top 3. I'd go.
Absolutely.
No specific order. I think it just depends on the mood. Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and Rogue One are like my top
Yes.
top 3.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too. Absolutely. So, but also the shows fall into that. Like we like all the shows and stuff too. So, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and then I'm gonna throw out not a
Pop culture
not like
classic.
Gosh. I'm gonna say. I can't think of a one-off, man.
Now, we talked not too long ago, and you guys were dropping some Nick Cage movies on me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, guys, come on, you're joking. And then you were real, and I was like, okay, I guess I need to watch some of these. I still
Yeah.
haven't, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pig. Dream Scenario.
Long Legs was good.
Long Legs, which is his newest. It's a horror movie. It's more psychological thriller
Okay.
than it is horror.
okay.
Straight up horror, but there are some horror elements, I guess. But yeah, those are
I
great.
say Christmas Vacation.
Huh? As my other favorite? No, I don't know if it is. I mean,
You're back to 20 movies in
yeah.
deep,
I don't know. I
too.
might, honestly, I might actually say the Scream franchise because that's my favorite horror
That
franchise.
new one, they spiced it up. I didn't watch it, but I saw the trailer, and this is probably a couple years ago that came out, right?
Yeah.
Where it was a smart house, and like she got locked inside, and like there's different stuff going off. I thought that was a very creative way to take a classic genre and movie and spice it up without doing something crazy weird. I thought
That was
really
pretty
cool.
recent, actually. That was pretty recent.
Was it?
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's your favorite business in town, or a business that doesn't get enough appreciation, that's local, and you're like, let's shout them out? Who's helping you out the most right now? Like, give us some feedback.
I want to share I'm going to share a couple that we frequent.
We're gonna get another 20 businesses.
It's not going to be 20. A couple that we frequent. Blue Stocking Social,
Okay.
which is they're a bookstore over near UE. They're awesome. We buy all of our books from them. I mean, River City, the coffee shop
I like River
downtown
City.
on Main Street. They're awesome. We love them. We buy a lot of plants from Emerald these days. Emerald is really cool down on Main Street.
Main Street. Is that farming, like same road
like
as
like downtown, downtown, kind of 4th Street area, and then 6 and 0, which is actually next to Emerald. I mean, they're awesome
what's
too.
6 and 0?
It's like a zero waste store, so like really eco-friendly products. They make soap. They have bulk soap and like laundry detergent and stuff that you can buy. Food, even like some bulk food that you like
Wow.
weigh out, so it makes it a lot cheaper too. But yeah, so I'm shouting out those 4 because those are just some we frequent. There are so many incredible local businesses in town, though. I can't pick just one. It's hard to pick just 4.
That's okay. The goal is to have all of them on eventually, right? Like, let's work every local business onto the show, and let's just learn more about all the local businesses. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to wrap it up here. And don't forget to like the video if you liked it. If you want to watch another video, click over here, and you'll probably find something that you love, just like this video. And subscribe if we earned it, and you'll be seeing lots of more content. And we might have you guys back on in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes.
Great.
Share with
like
your
us or
friends.
hate us,
Yeah. Tell all your friends. Tell all your friends.
Tell your friends.
Tell your
If
friends.
dog
Tell your
cat,
friends.
shop here.
Shop here. That's
Cool.
right. Dog, cats, not fish though. Not
No.
fish. Not fish. We have a person for fish.
Yeah, just dog and cat.
Just
dog and cat.
It's very niche. Okay. Well, have a wonderful time of life when this video comes out. It might be Christmas. It might be the new year. We'll see how this plays out in the backlog. We'll see you later. Bye.